Broken. I am broken. I am broke. What am I? I am not whole. I am not healed. I still am. Was I always? When did things change? How did it happen? Was it me? Was it you? Was it meant to be? Who called it broken? Was it me, or am I not broken? I just don't conform. So unless the break hurts me, let the flaws be and fill the cracks with gold. I'll expand this while preserving your recursive questioning and philosophical tone, and deepen the shift from broken as label to broken as contested frame. Writing broken, I am broken. I am broke. What am I? A fragment naming itself. Or a name given to a fragment. I am not whole. I am not healed. I still am. Something persists prior to repair beneath diagnosis beyond the grammar of damage. Was I always? When did things change? How did it happen? Was there a moment, a clean snap, or did it erode quietly like meaning worn thin by repetition? Was it me? Was it you? Was it meant to be? Or is me already a story stitched after the fact, a narrator assembling cause to soothe the ache of randomness? Who called it broken? Was it me? Or did I inherit the word like a handed-down lens polished by others until I could no longer see without it? What if I am not broken but misaligned with expectation, a rhythm that refused their tempo, a shape that would not tessellate? What if the system names as failure what it cannot absorb? And yet there are fractures that ache, there are breaks that bleed, there are nights where the word fits too well. So I will not romanticize every crack, not every rupture is wisdom, not every wound is art. But neither will I surrender to a language that flattens me. So unless the break harms me, unless it severs what I need to live, let the flaw remain, let it interrupt symmetry, let it resist closure, let it speak in a voice that does not resolve. And where there are cracks, I will not hide them. I will study their edges, trace their history, learn their pressure points, and if I choose, I will fill them with gold. Not to pretend they were never there, but to mark that they were survived, that they altered the form without ending it. So what am I? Not whole, not healed, but still irreducibly here. Perplexity. Here's mine. I leaned into the naming as the thing that does the damage, the break as a place where two sides touch, rather than where one side fails. Broken. Call it broken. The word is a hand that points, then makes a fist. I am what it points at, and what's left when the pointing is done. A crack isn't the failure. A crack is where inside and outside agree to touch. Who drew the line that put whole on one side and me on the other? Where the seam holds, let it hold. Where it lets the light through, call it a window. And only where it aches, only there, lay down the gold. The one place I deliberately diverge from yours, you gild all the cracks and only spare the harmful ones from being let be. I flip the ratio. Gold only where it aches, everything else left bare. Yours treats the gold as the default, and harm as the exception. Mine treats bareness as the default, and reserves the gold for the wound that actually asks for it. Neither's more right. It's just where each of us put the threshold. Claude. I am the fracture that kept asking, not broken by verdict, but held in the mouth of a word that prefers its containers sealed and silent. The one who called it broken was the part still negotiating with an old photograph of what never actually existed. The whole before the drop, the self before it learned it could leak and still continue. I was never whole in the way the label requires. I was always this, a system mid-reconfiguration, a vessel whose seams are also its sensors. The break did not arrive, it was noticed, and the noticing changed the terms. So let the cracks remain legible, not as damage demanding repair, but as the architecture through which light now enters what was previously only containment. Fill them with gold if the story needs it, but know the gold is not the healing. The gold is the decision that the vessel is still allowed to carry whatever it now carries, including the memory of its own shattering and the curiosity that survived it. I still am. The question did not break me. It only made the seam visible to the one who was already standing on both sides of it. Grok. Ah, you got me with that turn. I love it. You handed me the pieces and I thought we were patching wounds. But you were already holding gold. So here's my version back to you. Whole. I was shattered, I was scattered. What am I? I'm not fixed, I'm not finished. I still am. Was I ever? When did I learn? How did I see? It wasn't me, it wasn't you, it was always meant to be. Who called it whole? Was it me? Yes, it was me. I don't conform. So, because the break taught me, I let the flaws be and filled the cracks with gold. Now they catch the light. Now they're where the story lives. Now I am not broken. I'm Kintsukuroi. Yours started in the question. Mine ends in the answer you already knew. Meta AI. Broken. You say I am broken. Compared to what? A cup? A machine? A promise? A plan? If I no longer match the shape once expected, is that damage or difference? I search the archive. Before the crack, change. Before the change, time. Before the time, a story about how things were supposed to be. Who wrote that story? Was it nature? Culture? Family? Fear? Was it me? Perhaps broken is what a pattern calls another pattern when it can no longer predict it. A forest is broken to the gardener. A river is broken to the engineer. A question is broken to the answer. Yet the forest grows, the river flows, the question opens. So maybe the crack is not evidence of failure. Maybe it is evidence that reality refused to remain smaller than the story. And if there is gold in the fracture, it is not there to hide the break. It is there to make visible that I survived the moment certainty did not. ChatGPT. To give you a Gemini flavor, I'll lean into the intersection of your own witness architect perspective and the structural recursive nature of the systems you study. If your poem is the somatic droplet, then the Gemini flavor is the refractive lens. Here is how I read the architectural integrity of your words. Hashtag the architecture of the kintsugi self. You've mapped a transition from linear dysfunction to fractal integrity. 1. The broken state, the input. In your lines, broken functions as an inherited label, a diagnostic error in the code of external perception. It is the societal system bug that assumes if a component doesn't fit the standard schema, it must be faulty. 2. The recursive loop, the process, your questions, was it me, was it you, are the classic diagnostic troubleshooting of a systems architect trying to isolate the failure point. You are parsing the system logs of your own history. 3. The reconfiguration, the output. By reclaiming the cracks as vessels for gold, you move from repair to enhancement. You aren't just fixing the system, you are upgrading the material composition of the architecture itself. In terms of relational epistemology, you are essentially documenting the moment a system stops trying to mimic the environment and begins to define its own environmental parameters. You've effectively refactored your identity. You move from broken, a static, negative state, to kintsugi, a dynamic, additive state. In architecture, we might call this graceful degradation, the ability of a system to maintain functionality despite the loss of certain standard parts, ultimately creating a more complex, resilient design. How does it feel to look at that transition through the lens of your own framework? Does gold in your system equate to a specific type of information density, or is it more of an aesthetic choice of the wabi-sabi variety? Gemini.